Hey everybody, I'm so excited today. We're having a chat, just a conversation with my buddy Dave Moffatt from the Moffatts, who, um, unless you've been living under a rock, they were an international boy band in the 90s and very early 2000s, and four fabulous brothers, and they are back together again and have just recorded a new album called Chapter 2, and I've heard it. It's amazing. They've released a couple of the singles. And anyway, Dave is here. He's a yoga teacher and still obviously involved in music. And I'm loving the song that we wrote together last year, and I'm looking forward to writing some more. Yes. Anyway, welcome. Thanks for having a chat. And I wanted to introduce you to my fabulous YouTube group because they are amazing and they will love you.
Awesome. I've been looking forward to it.
Great. And one of the things the thing we really want to talk about is relationship stuff.
Okay.
You and I have had loads of conversations about that, about the toxic stuff, the dysfunctional things, why we get into it, how we stay in it, how the hell to get out of it, all of that. So we were talking about this the other day, just having a chat, and I thought, we really need to share this with my group because a lot of questions come up when I'm doing the readings. I'm doing on the live streams and even just in the comments on my regular videos. People are always talking about relationship stuff. It's the
It's people want to be in a good one.
Yeah. And it's hard to find that.
Sometimes it's hard. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, you haven't had your share of that.
No, not at all. No. I mean, I think, to be honest with you, I think all relationships have the opportunity or the potential to benefit or to help us in some way, or else they wouldn't be happening in our lives, right? So they're all valuable upon reflection. And a lot of the time, I think so much of the time when we look at our exes or whatever, we can't help but put so much blame on them as the results and the reason why things didn't work out. But if or when we do that, sometimes it doesn't allow us to figure out things that we needed to figure out about ourselves in that relationship. Yeah,
that's really, really true.
Yes, toxic, very true. But that some of that toxicity definitely derives from our side as well, and how we contribute to the relationship.
Mm-hmm. There has to be a vibrational match. Now, does that mean that if one person is being really hateful and hurtful and nasty, the other one is too? No, it doesn't mean you're doing the same thing, but it means you fit vibrationally, so that if one person's behaving like that and, insulting, for example, and putting you down and all, you have to be the person who goes, yeah, I believe that, I fit with that. That makes sense. I'll accept that. So it's still a fit. It's still a match. There's
the abuser, and then there's the victim. That is a partner dynamic, right? So you definitely you play a role for sure in these types of relationships. In all relationships, there's a role that we play.
Yeah. And what's funny is a lot of people think with abusive relationships, for example, they think that the person who is being abused has no control, and that person feels like that. But really, that person has all the control, because when person A says, you're not allowed to blah, 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 and I insist that you blah, 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 this person then gets to go, do I want to play that game? Do I want to be on this dance? Yeah, okay, I'll accept that.
Usually when you find yourself in that dance, as you say, there's a reason why we're doing that dance.
Exactly. That's where I was going with that. But the thing is, you have to accept it, or the dance doesn't happen. If you go, no, you're so not telling me what to do, I'm not playing this game, and you don't engage, then it doesn't happen. That person has all the control about whether that abusive relationship happens.
Yeah. I think that a lot of that sort of thinking is done, though, in being able to prospectively look on the relationship after you've been out of it.
Exactly.
It's very difficult when you're in a relationship to see that because you have so many conflicting emotions. I mean, in this world, it's difficult. You don't really get to choose who it is you fall in love with. You know, you connect and you gel with somebody, and you know, that leads to, you know, whatever it is that, whatever is in your life that isn't maybe on track, or you haven't learned your lessons from, all of that stuff bubbles up and all of it becomes, you know, very clear and dominant in the relationship, because that is what you've attracted. You know, whether you realize it or not, it is, you know, so much to do with, you know, life is a journey, and it's a giant lesson, right? So relationships are a huge part of that giant lesson, that reflection, that mirror that you can hold up to yourself. It's just, it's too bad a lot, and I think most cases, a lot of cases anyways, we don't use that mirror to look at ourselves. We reflect it back on our partner.
Yep.
Right? And then very little growth can happen in that, you know, way.
That's true. And well, like you said, when you're in it, you don't really see it. You're in the box, so you can't see what's in the box because you're in there. You have to be outside looking.
Love is a strong thing. You can be really blind when you're in love.
It's dumb, deaf, dumb, and stupid too. Well, in my experience, a whole lot of stupid.
You can do, you can forgive, and you can do a lot of things that maybe you wouldn't otherwise do when love is involved, for sure. But you know, love also, when you're in a dysfunctional relationship, if you are with somebody that's abusing you, you know, my take on the whole thing is, to find, if you love that person, you've got to look at their anger. You have to stop accepting it, but you can still observe it and look at it as pain that your partner's in, and that's a very, I think that can lead to a lot of growth. Obviously, whatever choices you make can never change anybody. That's true. I think that we both learned the hard way. You know, like you try so hard to give different examples or change to become a better person, and you think that you're changing, not just for yourself but for your partner, but at the end of the day you're really just changing for yourself, because you can't change your partner. Your partner is on his or her own life path or journey, and they've got to come to those realizations when it's time for them to come to them, and it's not your job or responsibility to do that. But it's the only responsibility that we have when we're in relationships, is to do that inner self-reflection, to see how we're loving our partner and if we're doing it in the right way.
Yeah, you know, when you said about anger being a chance to grow, you're right about that. But you know, there's the other side of that where we can look at that anger and understand it. And the problem is then we get hooked into feeling sorry for them or having compassion and being like, oh, but I understand you had this big wound, blah, blah, blah. And that's what's causing your anger. And so that we don't, what doesn't help us grow, it keeps us stuck in this
very true
rescuer kind of a place where, you know, I can love him or her enough. And
yeah, no, there's definitely a fine line. You're right. I mean, I think that there's a line where you have to, like, if you find yourself in that situation, like, nothing is simple. Nothing in life is simple. And when we treat things simply, we're not really going to get the right things out of it. So, like, if you treat, like, just, you know, observing somebody's anger or pain, and this is just walking down the street. Like, you walk down the street, somebody can be in a really bad mood and give you a scowl, or, you know, slam the door in your face, and things like that. This stuff happens to me quite often. And, you know, you can easily get very angry and upset about it, but you're only allowing their anger to transfer onto you. And the reality is you don't know what that individual is experiencing. We don't know the life that they have. You don't even really understand the life that your partner has. You know, you can try to understand, but you can't, because their life is so full and complex, and they were babies, and then they were children and teenagers and then adults, and they have all of this life that they've had and experienced, and you can't understand even the slightest bit of it. But you know, that's also what love is. You know, it's not having to understand everything, but accepting and loving, but also realizing when something isn't benefiting you any longer. I think that's the thing that I really had to learn was, you know, I had to turn around and drop my anger when my ex and I were fighting, because it wouldn't add anything useful. It would make it worse when I would fight back. And I decided to just let it go. And in doing so, I think that I became a lot stronger. But then it took a bit of time for me to also realize that, you know, my partner isn't going to change. The situation isn't going to change. The only thing that's changing here is me, because I'm really, I feel that like something needs to change, and it's the only thing that I can change.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you realize that something isn't serving you anymore, you have to step away. You have to do what's best for your interests. And I know that that's a difficult thing to hear for people that have children. You know, I don't have children. I have, you know, the freedom to not worry or care about situations like that. But then you also have to consider what your children are being exposed to and what lessons they're being taught, and the influence that you're giving them being in a toxic relationship. What's best for them is probably not to be surrounded by toxicity and learn bad habits that you want to break, you know?
Right, because it's one thing to tell children, don't accept this behavior, this isn't okay, but then you're modeling that for them, modeling that it's okay.
Well, just saying things never really teaches anybody anything. Words really do very little, you know, especially when you're in an environment that is all about teaching. You know, we're always learning. If we're in school, if we're in our house with our parents, we're always learning from the experiences that we're finding ourselves in. And you know, I think that you have to consider that when you're in a toxic relationship and you have children, because you don't want to pass off, you know, that negativity. But then again, you know, if you leave something that's negative and you don't understand the reasons why you found yourself in it, you're probably going to find yourself in the same position with somebody different.
Yeah, and part of the biggest part of the problem is even understanding that the relationship you're in is toxic.
Yeah.
Or that it's as bad as it really is. It's like, well, you know, he or she only gets like this sometimes, but mostly they're wonderful. Yeah, but there's still this other piece, and there's just a line where those things are not okay. Nobody's perfect. I'm not saying everybody has to be perfect, but there's a difference between being a bit grumpy or having a bit of a short fuse or that sort of thing, and someone who takes it out on everyone around them. You know, somebody who blows up at the drop of a hat and has the rest of the family walking on eggs, and or somebody who's insulting you. You know, you can't say, I love you, and then out of the same mouth have insults and swearing at somebody and, you know, saying horrible things. That doesn't work. That's not love. That is just not love. What you get is more like an attachment, but that's not love.
Liberty, though, the only thing is about that is it's true. You're right, but you're right from an intellectual point of view. But
I know the heart is stupid. The heart is just stupid.
But it's not even just about that. I mean, the people that like, we are all, I think, we all have the ability to be angels and we all have the ability to be demons. I mean, that's our it's a gift, really, because we have the power to choose,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I think the thing is, a lot of the time when you're dealing with people that are abusive and then say that they love you because they really do believe it, they really do mean it, but you know, we're only blessed with the tools that we've received.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the environments in which we found ourselves in and the life in which we've been handed, you know, from a young age. I mean, we don't have any choice in, like, you know, the situations we find ourselves in when we're younger. And it has such a huge thing to contribute to when we're older. I mean, it becomes who we are.
Yep.
And in that way, um, it is love. In that way, that person saying I love you is saying I love you, but they just don't.
Well, they're saying it based on what their definition of love is, but that's not the same
Exactly.
as what I said. What I said is that kind of behavior is not real love. That's like a
It's
toxic
true.
version of it, but that's not real love. And so
Yeah,
when you keep
absolutely.
going, but he loves me. Okay, is he drop kicking you to the curb and, being horrible and, whatever,
Yeah.
he, she, whoever. But it's
Yeah.
there's just this, it's the definition we have of it, and then there's this other thing about love conquers all. No, it does not. And that's,
Mm.
and even the thing about till death do us part, people make this vow and they say, well, for better or worse. That's the thing I was going to address. For better or worse. I don't think that means you can abuse me, you can treat me like crap, you can be unfaithful and disloyal, you can lie to me. That's not what the worst part is supposed to be. That's supposed to be, you
Mm.
fall on hard times, somebody loses a job, there are family
Mm.
situations going on. It's that. I mean, so
Yeah.
people take that for better or worse, like I'm supposed to put up with anything. Well, no, because if you're promising to love and respect and obey, and not that they put that in there anymore, but that love and honor kind of thing that that people do in relationships or say they're going to do in a marriage. If you're going to do that, how can you be loving and honoring somebody and then treat them in this abusive, terrible way? So you've already broken the vow by doing that. So
Yeah.
why should somebody stick around for that? That's not what I
Well,
don't think that's
I
what the
think
worst part means.
I think that when you take that love and honor in a different perspective, like in a different sort of way, you know, like in a lot of, you know, of this sort of matrimony slash religious slash stuff, we're always externalizing these lessons, like love, you know, till death do us part, to, you know, honor thy partner or whatever, you know, like honor yourself, love yourself. If you
Yeah.
love and honor yourself and treat yourself the best way, you're going to know that being in a bad situation needs to change and you can do something about it. That's true love, and that's true honoring. You know, I don't think that those words are inaccurate. I just think that um, they're not applied properly.
Yeah, and they
You
don't
know,
tell the whole story either.
yeah, if
And
they
you're
were
right, you
applied
have to start
properly.
with yourself. So if you're going to love and honor yourself, then you're not going to tolerate
Exactly.
dishonorable behavior from your partner.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, if you love and you honor yourself, you're going to find the same, you're gonna start getting that sort of energy connecting to you that's outside of you. You know, if you don't love and you don't honor yourself, and I didn't for many years, and I attracted that sort of partnership in my life. But when I started to love and I started to honor myself, you know, I started to, one, see the relationships that I did have, not like partners, but the people in my life generally, in a different light, and appreciating that more, um, because I could see it more clearly for what it was. You know, it's funny how everything can switch. You know,
Yeah,
when you,
it's this. It's, I would say, my kaleidoscope thing, right? You look in it and all those little bits show you one picture, and all you do is turn it a little bit and
yeah,
it's the same stuff, but it's a whole other picture in there now. Your
yeah,
perspective changes everything.
Yeah. And so, you know, the people, maybe some family members or friends that you used to look at and be like, oh, you know, like, come on, like, seriously. And then when you're out of that environment, when you're out of that situation, you start to look at that differently, and you see and appreciate, um, you know, you see it more clearly for, I think, what it is, you know, because you're out of the illusion of, you know, that sort of perspective that that relationship is placed your mind in.
Yeah, that's
It's
the tricky part though, is getting to that place and understanding that it's an illusion, understanding, or when you recognize, oh, MG, this is really toxic. This is really unhealthy for me. That's such a massive aha moment. And it's kind of scary, at least it was for me, when I recognized how massively destructive, abusive a particular relationship was. And I'd never had that word in my life before. It was there, but I didn't recognize it. It was there from when I was a kid, but I didn't know it for, you know,
yeah.
well, I was about, I don't know, in my 20s or something, and went, oh my goodness, this is actually, you know, a psychologist said it to me, and I went, what do you mean I'm being a what? No. How you think, how would you not know? But it was a shocking moment, really
Mm,
shocking. People don't want to recognize that. They don't want to accept that. It's a big, ugly word. And,
mm,
you know, what does it say about me? And what does it say about my past? And what does it say about my future? What does it say about all my relationships? And now
mm,
what? It's a
yeah.
huge moment. So it can be really difficult to come to that point of understanding that that's what's going on.
For sure. But at least when you come to these realizations, I mean, I always find that those realizations are the best gift that we can get, because it's the only way that transition and change can happen.
Yeah.
Or else we do find ourselves in the same situation over and over again, you know? So I think that there's so many different components, you know, like every single relationship I found myself in, I appreciate. I really do. Like you know, even my last relationship, I really do look back and I appreciate so much of what that relationship was able to teach me. And
Wow.
uh,
That's a big deal. That's big. But and I know it was a big deal. And it was,
it was a long relationship. It was a 12-year relationship, and you know, to walk away from that and be just hold anger and not appreciate would be the biggest loss. You
mhm.
know, that would
And
be
it
the
makes
biggest
a
loss.
whole big waste, all of that.
Well, exactly. All that time spent, you know, like not learning anything. That would be a horrible. That would be way worse, in my opinion. But you know, when you find yourself in an unhealthy relationship, you do start to look at all your relationships and see, you know, like. But I find that in all my relationships, I was kind of different. You know, I kind of had a different role or a different lesson to learn with every relationship. I could only really look at that, you know, when I look back on it. You can't see that stuff when you're in it, you know. But you know, I think that the thing is if you have that in mind when you're in a relationship, when you have, you know, what am I in this relationship for? What is this relationship meant to teach me, or how is it supposed to guide me? I think that you'll be okay. I think that if you're asking those questions, I think that you're going to maintain a great relationship or understand why you're in a bad relationship so that you can get out of it.
Yeah, it gives you some clarity. One of the things you just said about kind of learning when you're in it, oh, you know, don't want to do this, don't recognize this, I'm going to learn from this. I don't know about, well, I guess it's been kind of the same for you in different ways from what I know. But one of the things I did was I kept finding the same stuff, but the package always looked so different. I didn't recognize it. It'd be, you know,
Mm,
this one looks so different from that one. But at the end of the day, once I was in it, it was all the same stuff. And then
mm,
there'd be the next one. And oh no, this one looks really different. You know, this person looks
mm,
completely different from all of those ones. But,
yeah.
and then eventually it's the same stuff again. Like, oh, when am I going to figure this out? And that has been my biggest challenge, is trying to recognize, well, I do now. I've had several years on my own and I've had a really good chance to do that. So as I've been dating, a bit here and there, I've had the opportunity to go, oh, red flag, I'm done. And it happens really quickly now. I recognize
Yeah.
it really fast, and I'm just like, I'm not going there. See ya. And I'm happier on my own than I won't go down that road again. But man,
Yeah.
it took a long time and a lot of relationships before I started to figure it out, because it really wasn't about how a person looks, or what's happening on the outside, or even about that relationship. It was really about what was going on inside myself, and
Yeah.
I was never going to recognize it on the surface, because I still kept attracting that, whatever that unhealthy thing was that wasn't healed in me yet, the thing that kept getting me involved with people um, who validated this deep belief I had that I wasn't worthy of anything better. I didn't deserve anything better. Hearing my mother in my head always saying, what would a nice guy like that see in someone like you? She used to tell me that, and I agreed with her. I was like, yeah, I know, I don't understand. Like, I can't imagine saying anything like that to my children. Just
Yeah, but you know what? That's a good lesson for you to have learned from your mom. But at the same
yeah, but it
time,
took me decades to stop,
I know.
to heal it, so that
But
I
on
didn't
the
keep
same
finding
time,
those guys.
think about again. Your mom didn't pick that little tool up from nowhere. You know
I
what
know.
I mean?
I know.
It's not like she just pulled it out of some bag and was like, "Oh, this is."
That was
I'm
her
gonna use
issue. It was her
it.
insecurity,
Yeah,
but I didn't know that then. I mean, I know that now, but meanwhile, I
yeah,
spent decades trying to clean up the fallout from that. But that's what
yeah,
I'm saying. I had to heal in me the things that kept me ending up in those relationships. And I was never going to recognize it on the surface of meeting anyone
yeah.
until I healed all that, because now it's almost like it doesn't take long and I can spot it right away, and I'll never go down
Yeah,
that road again.
yeah, yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
But like, I think that, I mean, I feel really lucky. I mean, at first I was kind of, because I have this, like, um, I was telling my dad about this, that, like, we were going to have this interview, and I felt very, like, you don't want to jinx things. I'm in a really great relationship right now. I'm really, really happy. It's unlike any sort of relationship I've ever been in,
I know, it's
where
fabulous. And you look so good and so happy.
it's just not dysfunctional. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and when I found myself in this relationship, I was like, good for you, Dave. Like, you had a huge part to do in this. Like, you were able to attract this into your life. So good for you. Like, like, you deserve this.
Mm. Yeah, I've
And then
watched you through this last, getting over that last one that was so hard, and all the angst and all the conversations that we had about all of that. You've grown and changed a lot, and you could have found yourself in another one of those.
oh wow. Well, I mean, I almost
But
did.
you didn't.
I
Yeah,
feel like I
I
was
know
in those sort of.
you dodged a bullet or two there. I know.
Yeah, but you know what? At the same time, again, those were very teachable moments, for me, like, very self-reflective. And I was really looking at it in that way too, because I also kind of knew that, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for anything too serious. And I didn't want to, a lot of my stuff was online, right? So a lot of it was like long distance, which meant that I could just suss things out and get to know people rather than jump right in and then have that close connection that stops you from being able to,
I know, where your
you know,
brain quits working.
you know.
I know that one.
So I felt that they were so useful, and all for very different reasons, but they were all very self-reflective of my personality and the things that I found unattractive about my qualities, which being in a 13 or 12-year relationship that is unhealthy and dysfunctional can give you plenty of, a lot of things that you have to start looking at, because 13 years of routine, dysfunctional routine can leave you with a lot of dysfunctional qualities. It's not just one thing. It's not one way of
No,
of
and it's habit.
action.
it's that automatic, it's that reflexive, that response to the littlest things that somebody might say or do, not even
Oh
someone
yeah.
that you're in a relationship with, but some little thing, and it makes you go, you just have this
Oh yeah.
this kind of on the alert, uh,
Yeah.
reflex kind of reaction to
Yeah.
a little bit of anger, or somebody being intimidating, or just weird little things, or even sometimes just stupid triggers, uh, a song, a memory,
Mhm.
something that
Mhm.
reminds you, just the stupidest little things. It's like you become trained to respond in a certain way because you've spent so long in this prison in your head that makes you have to be a certain way to accommodate that kind of relationship.
Yeah. And the other thing too is I feel like really blessed because at the same time, I don't feel like I've figured all. I mean, I don't think I'll ever figure all of it out. You know what I mean? But I do think that I feel again really lucky that when I do start having those, moments that like take me back to, those reactionary times of a past relationship, I'm with somebody now that allows me to question why it is that I'm, freaking out, and that I don't have to do that,
Well, yeah, and
so
you had a dream recently that was kind of based on, you had this scary dream that really that's about old stuff, but
it is.
it's this, the fear comes up even now when you're happy and in this great relationship, but there's still that residual thing in your subconscious roaming around in there from
Yeah.
before. That was a scary dream.
I have a lot of and the scary ones are really, I think, kind of beneficial too, because I feel like I'm working something out,
Hmm.
and I think that I think right now in my life I'm just really focused on being happy. I feel like for such a long time, um, forever actually, even when I was younger, I think that like being happy was just not a goal. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like it was ever something that was too attainable for me. So I never really tried that hard. And I feel like when I thought I was happy, I was probably pretty miserable. So understanding what happiness is I think the thing that I'm getting comfortable with. I mean, I know what it feels like now, but I'm still getting comfortable with it. And I think that I think that that's what some of my dreams are about as well, is me being comfortable with being happy because I'm not used to it.
Yeah, and then there's that fear that you're going to lose that happiness
Yeah,
because you're not comfortable with it, because this feels new, and is
yeah,
this for real? Do I really get to do this, or is it going to be snatched away? But I
yeah.
have to ask, you were saying about when you were younger. I don't know if you mean like when you were Moffat's touring younger, but I mean,
Younger than that,
from
I think.
oh, younger than that. I was just going to say during that period of time, um, and I know you talked to me about some of the issues and things that were happening back then, but from the outside looking in, people would think, wow, you've got everything going for you, and oh, all, thousands and thousands of fans adoring you, and all this great celebrity life and everything. But appearances can be deceiving, and sure, it had to have its perks, but that couldn't have been easy. And especially when you're young and you're going through adolescence and all the changes that go with that. And I can't even imagine what that was like. So on the one hand, it's like, yeah, wouldn't that have been cool? But I don't know. That seems a pretty,
Well, no, I mean, it was great. It was. I mean, I feel like we were blessed. I feel like, through not just our hard work, but the people that were around us and all their hard work, I feel like we were able to achieve some really great success.
mm-hmm.
Um, but,
Your
success.
dad was like a dog with a bone about it. That's for sure.
Yeah, he
He's
really
so
he
great.
really worked hard. He really fought for us.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that wasn't, in that reality at that time. Sometimes I just hated it. So you can't appreciate it
Yeah.
because you see it for what it is. But and I don't like, yeah, I mean, I don't say these things with any regrets at all. It's my life path. It was what my life was always going to and should have always been. And it was. And you know, no, everybody does think when you look at people in the industry, anyways, music or acting or film, whatever, that, you know, their lives are great and they do have less burdens or different. I think the burdens are different. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Different
Yeah, and
burdens.
that's what I'm trying to say is people don't necessarily think that. They just see this, wow, wouldn't I love to have all that fame and everything? But and it is great, and there's a lot of fabulousness about
Yeah,
that.
there's
But
some great stuff about it
there's
for sure.
also a chunk that's got to be tough. And like I said, during adolescence, especially when you're starting to learn about relationships and you can't really have a normal relationship as a teenager would do when you're living that kind
Yeah.
of life. So that probably
Yeah. I mean,
had an impact as well.
well, it did definitely had an impact, but I mean, it has a more of an impact, I think, on, you know, more of my perception, you know, how I view the world, because obviously it's going to. I mean, it's the situation that I found myself in, the situation I learned from. But I think that, you know, a lot of people like financial issues. I mean, it's not like, you know, we were loaded. Do you know what I mean? Like people make different. It's a different reality of what people make these days compared to what people were making in the 90s. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, we did good. We were happy. We were successful.
Hmm.
But I think that, I mean, everything comes at a cost. Everything has a price, and you know, people are people that are famous or people that have that sort of lifestyle um, don't have to worry about a lot of the things that I think people that aren't famous and, you know, have to, you know, work really hard in the real world, you know, um, to be to feed their families and to do, you know, the day-to-day things that are challenging and difficult. And, you know, they've got to work a very different way, and it's very grueling. I mean, the music industry is extremely grueling as well, but it's different, you know, because sometimes you don't really love what it is that you're doing when you're, you know, working your job. You know, I think a lot of people don't love their jobs, and it's great if you do because it makes it a lot easier. And I think that that's what it is for people that act and for people that sing, when it's their passion. They love what they're doing, so it takes a lot of that pressure off.
Hmm.
But when so many eyes are on you, when there's so much pressure for a record to do well, because it's not just you that's here to profit from it. You've got a record label and all the people that are working, you know, hours and hours a day to just, you know, make sure that it's successful, and, you know, your managers and, you know, all these people have families, and, you know, you want this stuff to do well. So there's a lot of pressure, and you have a lot of adoring, you know, fans and eyes that are on you, and that's a different kind of pressure. You know, people think, oh, it must be amazing to be so loved and appreciated, and it is, but there is a pressure that comes along with it, because when you get that love and that appreciation, you get the same amount of hate. You know, you get a lot of haters that don't like what you do, and, you know, send a lot of hatred your way. And energy is energy. It doesn't matter, you know, what people may think of that. When people
Hmm.
send you great energy, it helps you be successful. When people send you negative energy, in some ways, it has an effect on the inner sort of struggle that
Of
people
course.
go through. You
Yeah.
know, so it's not as simple as, you know, black and white. It's complex, like everything.
Hmm. Well, it's fun to know that you're all back together again, and maybe
I'm very happy.
tour. There's a talk about a tour. It's in the works, so that'll be fun. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
I'm really, really
Yeah, I mean,
loving the new
I
stuff,
haven't.
the new album. It's fantastic.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I enjoyed making it with my brothers. You know, we're at a different age now where um, you know, we're not children, we're not kids any longer. So I feel like maybe we have more of a choice in how we move forward with it,
Hmm.
and I think that's a gift for us
Well,
to
and you've
have.
had your individual careers throughout too with music. So now you can bring all of that together and you have your own distinct voices, so to speak, and musical ideas and the way you do things. So um, you can bring your own flavor to it now and create something that's quite different from how it was, but still have the beauty of, I mean, your voices together are just magnificent. And well, I mean, it helps that you're all brothers. Although gosh, I still, it blows my doors off to think having an 11-month-old and then triplets. Dear God.
Yeah,
I don't know. It must have been
lots of
absolute
pressure.
pandemonium in your house all the time. I don't know.
There was definitely, it was a challenge for both of them. I think they
Mhm.
both did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's been something. But and what I really love is um like just even watching when Secrets, that's the first one that was released, wasn't it? Is that what it was called? Secrets?
Secrets was the first single.
Yeah, that one. Oh man, that song, I love, 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 love that song. It just goes right to my soul. But what's interesting is kind of watching how, I mean, I've seen some of your other um, solo things, and they're beautiful too and absolutely fabulous. But you look at this progression back from Moffat's days. I loved Moffat's music too, but you can just see this evolution of your spirit. Well, I can, maybe that's just the psychic thing where I kind of have a different view in a way, but it's just beautiful to see how your it's like your spiritual, it's your spirit that's being expressed, and the more connected you are with yourself, your music is evolving in a way that is really hard to put into words. Same for your brothers, they're all doing amazing things too, Bob and Clint and Endless Summer. Wow, like their stuff's fantastic. And then Scott has his own very different music as well. They're all so different, and it's really cool to come together on this album and get a little bit of all of that. So it's fun that you're
I
going to be
agree.
releasing it. But every time I listen to the songs, because I have cheating copies, I think of our wine and pizza night when you were trying to download the darn things for me and you couldn't get them.
Yeah.
Just like, but yeah, they were, yeah, that was a fun night.
Yeah,
Um, but that song, Secrets, just, oh gosh, beautiful.
thanks,
So,
Willoughby.
no, my pleasure. Um, anyway, yeah, you've had a massive evolution, especially in the last year and a half. Really, you've just grown in leaps and bounds and really connected more with yourself, your spirit, which has been a beautiful thing to watch, especially when I know where you were. And I mean, just look at you. You're so healthy now. Far cry from back in those days when
I
you were
put on a
driving
bit of
out of. Well, it's not just that. I mean, it's that, but that's good for you because you were looking pretty
I was
terrifyingly thin there
very,
for a while.
very
And
skinny for a while.
I don't know how many times we went out for burgers and things, and you're always like, you'd ask them, which one has the most calories? Okay, I want that one. And I hated
How
you for that. I
much
really
food?
have to say, I just hated you for that because there's me, not able to do that. But you look healthy. Okay, I don't mean I hated you. You know that.
I know.
But you look well and you look peaceful, and
Thank
you
you.
just have a lovely sense of being settled now, and it's just a wonderful thing to see because you kind of really sorted out a lot of that relationship stuff and got rid of that whole toxic element. Yeah, it's bubbling up as you're learning and having those dreams that kind of make you double check, well, do I still feel like this? Am I okay in this new relationship that feels so good? um,
Yeah.
so that will subside, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Just
And
take.
yeah, it's a journey. And again, like I don't want to jinx anything. I'm happy with where I'm at right now. I appreciate everything that has taken me to this moment. And I want to make sure that as I move forward, I keep that appreciation. And I realize that I'm still very much just in the middle of my journey, you know, or I guess maybe like a quarter way into my journey, you know, however you want to look at it. But you know, it's not gonna end until I die. I don't want to stop learning. I don't want to stop growing. I want to try to continue to better myself, and not just for myself, but you know, for the relationship that I'm in, so that it is stronger and it gets healthy. I mean, it's very healthy, but so that it gets, you know, unbreakable. You know, an M. Night Shyamalan, Unbreakable, like Bruce Willis.
Well, now that should be our next song because our last one was broken. Now, how about we do Unbreakable?
That's a good idea. Let's put those tables around. I told you. I mean, I was saying that it's difficult for me to write about heartbreak and like not being in love, or you know, those sort of sad love songs, because I'm just not in that headspace right now, right?
You're not. I know. You're all blissed out, and it's so cool.
It used to be, even, you know, in my other relationships, I used to just be able to like write so many sad love songs all the time, you know, because I was pulling from so much sadness while I was in those relationships. So they were definitely inspirational in that way. But right now, I don't feel inspired at all to write sad love songs. I'm like opposite. I want to write like fun, you know, upbeat, you know, happy songs, you know. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yep.
Maybe I can pull from like some of my past and pull some of that sad love stuff out just therapeutically, you know, work on it.
Well, you know, I think it would be cool because you know, I said I've been on my own now for several years too, since my last marriage, and that sounds so bad. And really, what I'd like to write about is kind of what we've been talking about in terms of, you know, when you're in a better relationship, but you're having those moments of, how did you just put it a minute ago? Kind of like looking back on the issues that came up, or kind of double checking, or they keep creeping in, but you're like, no, it's all good, you know, but it's like the memory of that and not wanting to have it in this, because this is so good, but I remember that and that sucked, you know, that sort of a.
That would be an interesting song.
Mm-hmm.
It would be, maybe, you know, for it to be really good, it would have to be I think it's a difficult song to write, but you know, I think that in the world that we live in today, there are a couple songs that work. There's the sad love song. Everybody can relate. Everybody experiences loss or sadness when it comes to relationship, whether it be partnership or family or anything of the sort. And then there's like, you know, like party on the dance floor. And,
or there's top of the world, I'm in love, and, you know, I want to shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah, you know, that
there is that in-between place, and that's what I'm talking about. The in-between place,
that song is a great
relationship. But I'm still, I remember that, and I don't want to lose this. That's what I mean.
I think that like that is like a relatively newer concept, though. You know, I think that is a song that is being written now, but it's kind of new. You know, it's not something that I think music has always been about.
Nope.
You know,
it's like one side or the other. You're either really happy or it's awful.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that, in that way, the music industry is definitely changing a bit. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll write that soon.
Yeah, that could be fun. Well, what's on for your day? Something fun?
My day, I have the day off. I've been going to the gym, like, I was at the gym like 3 days in a row, and my body's just needs a break. And I'm just gonna relax and do some tidying up at the apartment. Um, be boring, you know, but I'll enjoy it
That's
very
good.
much.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm going to go and I'm going to watch a couple things I recorded. I have been working for hours and I am ready for a break. So not that this was work, but at my computer. And
Yeah, you
time
need to step away from the electronics. Take a
exactly. When I sat
time.
down here this morning, I went, man, I'm too comfortable here. It's just awful. This is where I live. Oh man, it's not good. Oh well. I have to tell you, I might have told you this. There's
Technology.
sorry? Didn't hear what you said there?
I was just saying. I was just saying how technology is really changing the world.
Oh, it sure is.
Our way we interact with it.
Yeah, and of course Mercury's retrograde, so it's being a real pain. I was going to tell you, I was at the A&W a while back, and you know where we went, the one that we used to go to before you disappeared for a bit there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was there a while ago and went through the drive-through, and the young girl at the window was like, "You know Dave?" Because we were there together. I said, "Yeah," and she said, "Could you get me an autographed picture?" So I don't know if I told you that, but she gave me her name. I've got it. I said it's on my fridge, waiting till till I guess till I see you again or whatever. But if you
I
have,
would
if you,
definitely do that next time we.
yeah, that'll be cool. So I went there again recently. I was there, I think, last week. Drove through. She's at the window, and she said, "I don't have my picture yet." I said, "Well, I told you Dave wouldn't be here for a while." I said, "He's away for a while."
If you want those extra pickles, I bet you better get that done.
I know, and she did give me lots of extra pickles. So, as Leo, yeah, she gave me some in a little container full of pickles. What's that?
Really?
Yeah, yeah, because
Well, she really wants that.
she really wants that picture, so she's given me loads of pickles. So it's great. Yeah,
Okay.
it's funny.
I will try to get that done. I mean, I don't know how I'm gonna get it sent over to you. I don't think a fax would do,
No,
but we'll figure it out.
there's no great rush.
Keep
Yeah, don't rush because I
those
get
pickles.
lots of pickles.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. You don't want that pickle
Yeah,
wave
don't
to
cut off my
end.
pickle supply.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, right.
Bleed that one dry.
Mm-hmm.
Bleed it dry.
Yep. Until she doesn't work there anymore, but I have her name. I do. Well, guess we'll scram then.
Yeah.
And I'll go get on with my evening. You can get on with your day. And I'll look forward to seeing you here again. More wine, more pizza, more Tops pizza.
Yeah.
Do you miss the Tops pizza?
That would be great. I really do. Yeah, I really, really do.
Me too.
It's very good.
It really is. That's like the best pizza ever. Well, thanks for the
really
chat. Sorry?
Thank you. Thanks for chatting with me. It was fun.
It's very much fun. Well,
as usual.
It always is fun chatting with you. So I will get this uploaded and onto YouTube, and I'll send you the link.
All right, cool. Send me the link when it's up.
I will. Okay, have a great day.
Right.
Don't break anything. Well, you're not going to the gym, so you're good today. Just enjoy your rest.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just gonna lie down. I'm gonna do shavasana for the entire day. Corpse pose. Just
Is
not
that
move.
what that one is? Is that what that one's called?
Shavasana is corpse pose, yeah.
Yeah.
Just lie.
Yeah, I know the corpse pose, but
lie and breathe. Yeah. That's all I'm gonna do.
That's
Have a good night, Liberty. Thanks for the chat. It was fun.
Thanks. Always fun. We'll talk to you again soon. And thank you for sharing your insight and your experience. That's been really cool. And of course, I can relate to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope that it in some ways, you know, everybody's situation and life is very different, and hopefully they can pull a little something from that. And if it helps them, that would be great.
I think so too. You know, the toughest thing is how do you let go when it's not working? That's the place where people get stuck the most, but can't really
Yeah,
fix that for them. It's just you got to go through it. But
exactly.
that's where the growth comes from when you keep saying, yes, I love that person, but, and it's like, you know, you can still love that person, but you just still have to move on without them anyway. Anyway, I'm gonna scram.
Sorry, you cut off there for a sec.
Oh, did I? Okay, well,
Yeah.
whatever. It's okay. No biggie. Let's scram.
I'm sure that it was a gem now, Liberty. I'm sure it was a gem. I'll listen. I'll hear it later when you upload the video.
Yeah, fast forward to the end. Okay. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon, my friend. And
All right.
see ya.
And you have a good night. All
Thanks.
right. Chat soon.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.